Chair. I'm going to share it with Mr. Martel. But first, Minister, you talked about Hockey Canada. I'm going to give you this. I think Sports Canada has to share the blame. The person to the right of you knew what happened June 26, 2018, and did nothing. You can point fingers to Hockey Canada all you wish. I'm pointing fingers at Sport Canada. They could have stopped this. Yes, you pulled the funding in 2022 in June. I think the person to the right of you should have directed the minister in 2018 to do something, and wasn't done. Sport Canada needs to own this as much as Hockey Canada, as much as gymnastics. Canadians are looking for leadership from Sports Canada. And quite frankly, from that memo that I wrote, or that I read, from Glenn McCurdy to his staff of Hockey Canada, they haven't seen any leadership from Sport Canada. I want you to comment on that.
Well, les informations que...
The information that Sport Canada received in 2018 were that there were an allegation of a sexual nature, but we didn't have the details that came out in the media later. The nature of the allegations and the nature of these events, you know, Sport Canada did not know the scope of what happened in 2018. We got minimal information. Now, Sport Canada doesn't have the power to investigate, and especially not with criminal allegations. Sport Canada had been assured that the police was investigating into those allegations.
So the interim report from Heinen Hutchison, have you seen the report? Because that is one of the conditions Sport Canada has. They need to see that interim report that was never so-called finished. Have you seen it? Because that's part of Hockey Canada's checkbox, if I can say, to get their funding back. Have you seen the interim report?
No.
No. I haven't seen the interim report. We requested the recommendations and they plan to implement them. All I've seen to date is 6 points on recommendations that were provided, but I haven't seen the report.
Well, Hockey Canada, you know, released their statement yesterday, and it's long overdue. They promised years ago that they were going to change the culture. So their action plan, what do you say as minister when Hockey Canada 2 years ago started an action plan that they never completed, and then all of a sudden we bring them to the Heritage Committee in June, and all of a sudden 30 days later we have an action plan? What do you say to that, to Hockey Canada finally waking up that the report and the action plan should have been done 2 years ago when they started it?
Je leur pose la question si les personnes...
So I would ask again if the people who are in power now, who were in power then, are the right people to implement those action plans and to ensure that everyone, you know, implements the recommendations. I do have serious questions about that. And I hope that they will provide answers tomorrow and tell us how the same people who were there in 2018 are the right people to make change now, when we know that 2018 was so disastrous and that their first appearance seriously lacked transparency.
Have a conversation with Sports Canada at some time to up your game, Sport Canada game, that needs to be following this important meeting today and follow up. Will you do that quickly?
That is something that I want to get done before the next financial cycle. So by April 2023, I want to make sure that all of those funding agreements have been reviewed, that Sport Canada has the power to do the necessary verifications to make sure that organizations are meeting the requirements and that safety of athletes is protected.
25 seconds. Go ahead.
Thank you. 26 seconds.
25 seconds.
Well, you said this with Hockey Canada, but I can't understand how you can trust the directors of Hockey Canada given what we've learned recently. So I want to know, would you be ready to do a big cleanup? Well, I never said I didn't trust them.
Si l'occasion se présente,
If you had the opportunity to clean things up in Hockey Canada, would you take it? I call on the directors of Hockey Canada to do what they need to do to improve the culture within their leadership and on their board, to ensure that the voices of women are clearly heard around the decision-making table, and that the culture changes.